big part of like what I do personally, but also for work, is like returning to the same area of land over and over again in repeated times, as a way to kind of develop a connection with that particular piece of land. Sometimes we talk about like loving nature, which is absolutely a thing, but it's different when it's like a personal connection with a particular piece of land, where you get to know, the bends of the trees and like what grows there and what animals and flora and fauna live there and all of that.
Right, and I imagine it's different depending, of course, on the seasons.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some places are easier to be in winter or summer, but you don't know them fully unless you know them all year.
How bad are the mosquitoes in June? These are the questions.
Why don't you tell us where we are right now?
So we're in the Robert Cotton Park in Stratford in PEI. And this is a park where I run a lot of my programs, outdoor-based nature programs with kids. We started the Wild Child program at a different park where the mosquitoes were really horrendous. And part of the reason we found this place is there's a bit of a breeze off of the river, so the mosquitoes aren't as bad.
Right. How's the smoke?
The smoke is pretty bad. It's called the Wild Child Forest School program. So it's not a real school, it's a recreational program designed to help kids connect with nature. So it's child-led, it's emergent, it's inquiry-based, and it's about returning to the same area of land over and over again. So kids get to experience it in different seasons over time, get to learn who lives there, like the squirrels and different kinds of birds and all of that. And it's play-based. So we play outside. We do include elements of risky play. So we teach kids how to light fires with flint and steel. We teach them how to use hammers and nails and saws, as well as how to climb trees and balance on slack lines, and kind of teaching kids those skills about how to regulate and negotiate risk themselves, as well as just developing a connection with the natural world. We have an experience, and then you're like, wow, we learned all of these things, rather than deciding at the beginning of the day what we're going to learn.
Right, so they might take you down a forest path and stumble across something, and then have to figure out.
And all of a sudden we're using our magnifying glasses to look at the like slugs in the moss and wonder about like the holes behind their ears and what are those for.
How were you as a kid? Were you a wild child?
I grew up in town. I was a city kid. I grew up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. And so for me, it was my backyard. And I go home now and look at my backyard, and it is tiny. Like, it's the size of this fire circle. But in my kid imagination, my memories of it, it was a huge green space that I had a lot of play in. I graduated high school being like, I want to go into the medical profession. And then after my first year of university, I got a job helping a master's student do research on frogs. And that is what changed my life. It was the Oregon spotted frog. And we spent the summer like in ditches, like in chest waders, trying to catch frogs and like measure them and learn about them. And I was like, whoa, you can spend your life working outside. I didn't know that was an option, and I want to do that. So I did some research on frogs and then songbirds, some salmon. I did my honors on native pollinators in urban parks. I really enjoy going out on walks by myself, and that's usually where poetry that is very connected to the season will come out. I usually, because winter can be so long, I like have this deep yearning for spring when it comes, starting with the sap starting to run to like when the first peeper starts to call and croak. Just like the anticipation is I love about spring, waiting for everything to start bringing new life. And I also really enjoy puddle jumping. It's really great in springtime too. In summer, of course, the beaches are really great in PEI. The gardening that you can do in summer is really wonderful, and just all of the life is just like so full on. It's just like everything at once is blooming and growing and happening in summertime. And I am a huge fan of dandelion and all of the things you can do with it. We make dandelion fritters, dandelion syrup. I drink dandelion root tea all the time. And you can like draw with the dandelions on paper and just like all sorts of things. So once the dandelions come, it just feels like there's so much life that's happening all around. Fall I really love when the mosquitoes leave and it's still warm enough to go swimming. And I really missed this past year with Fiona the colors of fall. I love the colors of fall and kind of the like inspiration that gives me for like making nature art and making leaf crowns and putting on a sweater for the first time with your cup of tea. Like that kind of coziness of fall I really enjoy. And then I really love the quietness and the slowness of winter. There's like a slowness, a rest, a like recover, a, like that helps bring out like my curiosity and stuff in the winter time. And I love sledding and snow play and all of the new kinds of play that snow brings. I love. You know, even just the fact that we have snow days and things get canceled, like that doesn't happen in the summer. You just go, 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 especially to be such a, you know, seasonal and touristy province. I moved here January 2015, which is when we had all of the snow. Snowpocalypse, to go to school to do my master's in green crab research. I had rented this bachelor's pad or whatever it's called, and I was too cheap to get the internet, so I didn't know anyone in PEI and didn't make a friend for many months. Oh. So it was a really hard start. Graduate work can be so pointed, and I was ready to be a little bit more like engaged in where I was putting my time and energy. It was getting involved in abortion rights that first made me like really find that community here in PEI. And my intention was to be here for my 2 years and then to probably go back to the West Coast. But I am still here and this is now my home. So I got that wild child job right as I was defending my thesis, and it was supposed to be like a 3-month contract or something. And Sierra Club was like, do you want to start a forest school? Because you can if you like find money to pay yourself to do that. And so yeah, I was like really interested in that, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I dove into it. I had some support and mentorship. I got some training, and then we started the program. I mean, our first year we reached like 98 kids in 2017, and this past year we reached like 750.
Can you talk a little bit about other programs that have spun off into other communities?
Yes, absolutely. So the Tales of Islandia LARPing program. If you've heard of like Dungeons and Dragons, that's called a role-playing game. LARPs, live action role-playing games, is when you actually dress up as a character and you wander around the woods in character playing with whoever you come across, and it's very, very fun. Roots and Shoots, it's called Roots and Shoots, a supportive space for trans and gender creative kids. We go outside and play and just have a great time. And then Peers Alliance hosts like a support group for the parents and caregivers, and just connect with other parents who want to support their trans kids. So another one we've started is Pride Scouts. Yeah, we go outside, we like vibe in hammocks, we dip candles and identify plants and all sorts of like outdoor based things, but it's with all queer kids, and that's really fun. I feel really lucky because I get to do the play part of it with kids, where sometimes with trans issues there can be a lot of challenges, but also for the kids there's also like there's beauty and there's joy, and so we get to kind of like support that and just have a great time and in who we are.
How does play help community?
Yeah, I think play is so important, and I think especially as adults we don't prioritize or take the time to play as much, because there's always so many responsibilities. It can be awkward to play, especially if you haven't done it for a while, and so there's like this big barrier for a lot of people to be like, yeah, that sounds fun, but like way too outside of my comfort zone, and like I'm gonna look silly, I'm gonna act weird, and I'm gonna be judged for it.
Right.
So it's really, really wonderful though when people do get together and just like go for it and try to be silly and play, because I think play brings out wonderful parts of ourselves, and I think that's part of what builds community.